Shane Dawson's latest docuseries has sparked a discussion about whether or not Jake and Logan Paul are sociopaths, and if it's a good idea for a vlogger to be making such judgments. You're watching What's Trending. I'm Martine Bierman. Make sure to subscribe for more social media and news stories daily. You're probably aware that Shane Dawson has spent the last few months making lengthy videos about YouTubers with the intention of showing who they really are behind their structured persona. His new series is about Jake Paul, and 4 episodes have so far been released. But the controversy was already brewing after just the first 2. That's what YouTubers love. Controversy. Now, needless to say, there's a lot that happens in this series, so if you got a few hours, check the whole thing out for yourself on Shane's channel. We're gonna focus right now on some of the mental health issues discussed in the series and what has some advocates so upset. In episode 2, The Dark Side of Jake Paul, Shane speaks to therapist Katie Morton in an attempt to psychoanalyze Jake Paul and why he does what he does.
So they always just think they're better, bigger, more important than everybody else. Like, for instance, failure to conform to social norms with respect to lawful behavior. So they're usually like
getting into fights.
She ended up starting a full-on fight with Nikki.
Now, it's important here to note that their conversation is about the characteristics of those who display antisocial personality disorder. At this point, they're not talking about Jake Paul specifically, which is good because no psychologist or psychotherapist should ever be diagnosing someone without actually meeting them. But Shane does an interesting thing here, which is to cut to clips of other YouTubers exhibiting the behavior being described, including that of the Paul brothers.
the main 2 things that they usually want is power and money.
And I'm gonna be the biggest entertainer on the planet.
I want to be the first social media billionaire.
So with fans comes power and money.
Buy that merch. Buy that merch.
So they'd probably be actually really nice to their fans.
So even though Shane's asking Katie about the personality traits associated with someone who has APD, his intentions seem really obvious. In that he's talking about Jake Paul, because that's what this whole series is about. Before this segment in the documentary, a card appears that reads, "All clips shown of YouTubers, actors, and even myself are just being used for context." Okay, but that kind of sounds like him trying to have it both ways. He's like telling the audience, hey guys, don't jump to conclusions, but also Jake Paul is a sociopath. And shocker, this has left a bad taste in many people's mouths, including Shane Dawson's own fans. Jesse St. John wrote, okay, I stan Shane Dawson, but this new series creates a dangerous dynamic of unqualified people wrongly diagnosing mental disorders and dehumanizing and stigmatizing people with mental disorders. Take this as entertainment and nothing more. And Peter Coffin tweeted, I need to voice a concern, Shane Dawson. This isn't a call out, but how much thought was put into the idea that after a video like your latest, that any awkward kid, including ones with disabilities, could be labeled a sociopath due to your audience's youthful inexperience. For sure, I know kids, I was in middle school once upon a time, name calling is a thing that happens. This isn't an unlikely thing that might actually occur among them. And the term sociopath is somewhat problematic. It's an outdated way of referring to someone with antisocial personality disorder. Presumably, Shane Dawson expected that there would be some backlash from this situation, maybe not as much as he's actually getting, but he has defended himself on Twitter and Snapchat. He tweeted, people with severe antisocial personality disorders don't have empathy and don't care at all. So for anyone to be offended is so confusing to me considering they actually literally don't care, like at all. And it's something that is rarely even discussed and it can affect lives.
Number one, you can't offend them. That's not a thing. They don't care. Like, and no, they're not all like evil, serial killer, whatever. They just don't care.
During his Snapchat story, he talks about how he's used what he's learned to distance himself from people with APD and believes that that's the key value in presenting the information the way he did.
I understand, I was nervous about it, but the reason I made it scary and creepy was so people would watch it. Because if I made it like a standard video where I just sat there and was like, oh, interesting, they don't feel, okay, next topic, people wouldn't care. And if people don't care, they don't watch it, and if they don't watch it, they don't know the warning signs, and less people know what to look for.
He does ultimately apologize for offending people and assures viewers that that was not his intention.
My main thing I wanted to get across was, number one, I'm sorry if I offended anybody. If you are offended for someone who has this or thinks they have this, I am sorry.
And the 2 episodes that have been posted since then now come with a disclaimer at the top. This video contains discussion of personality disorders and is meant for entertainment purposes only. Please do not self-diagnose or diagnose others. Dawson includes another brief apology at the top of the 3rd episode, The Family of Jake Paul, where he seems to more effectively understand why people were offended.
I think I got carried away with the whole like, ooh, I can make this scary. I love editing scary stuff and I didn't completely think it through and like to treat a person like a scary monster is like not cool and I shouldn't have done that. So I apologize for that, genuinely. I shouldn't be pointing a finger and being like, you might be a sociopath, because that's f***ed up and I was wrong for doing that. But I'm really excited about this new chapter because like this is a I'm interested in.
Both Paul brothers have since responded. Logan calls out Shane for some of the more theatrical elements of his series.
I f***ing love you.
But this is a classic case of dramatics on YouTube.
Yo, Logan, I left your car keys on the counter.
That's like, come on now, you know what I'm saying?
Not everything is that scary, Shane.
And Jake commented in a couple tweets. He wrote, I guess the only thing I'm concerned about is that you still haven't made it clear that you're determining whether or not I'm a sociopath. The way it comes off, at least to me and my family, is that you're already labeling me as a sociopath. This tweet also comes off that way. I love Shane and I'm trusting him to carry out the rest of the series. I hope he can actually make it clear who I am and why I've done certain things and show the side of me that no one has ever seen. That's why I agreed to do this series. The sociopath stuff doesn't interest me. My hope is that we'll get a better understanding of Jake Paul once Shane shows the footage of where he sat down with Jake Paul and actually spoke to him. It is kind of sucky to think that maybe Jake Paul signed on to do this thinking that Shane was gonna go in one direction when really Shane took the footage and decided to go the more controversial route. I do like the fact that both of these guys do seem to like each other and want to work together, which makes me think that maybe, on some level, Shane and Jake, who are masterminds and have literally dominated YouTube, have come out with a way to kind of manipulate this situation from us on our end and get more views. Because ultimately, maybe at the end, he just gives Jake a big pat on the back and is like, oh, Jake's amazing and I love him, and all this stuff was clearly not true. And in that way, he's brought us along for the ride and made mega dollars off of us. What do you guys think? Did Shane Dawson make a mistake in the first couple episodes of the Jake Paul series? Let us know in the comments, and for more trends, head to whatstrending.com.